go ahead.
Okay, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. So, our topic is education and curricula. So, we want to talk a little bit about ourselves. So, my name is Aman Gilda Kirkia. I am a student of year 12. I'm currently the vice president of the Haileybury Astana Eco School Club, and I'm from Kazakhstan and specifically the capital city Astana. And
Yeah, hello, I'm Alilta Mabratu, but I go by Lily. I'm from the UK originally, but I have been living in Kazakhstan for just over 5 years now. So I've been in Haileybury for a long time, and I know like the systems that we have in place, etc.
So here's our beautiful country that I am from. In the first, so just to talk a little bit about the famous touristic spots of Kazakhstan. In the first picture, you can see the Expo 2017. The second picture is the Kolsai Lake. The third one is the Sharon Canyon, and you can see the famous building, the Bayterek. Um, So the Kazakh plain has an area of 804,500 square kilometers, and it occupies one-third of the country, and it's the world's largest dry steppe region. So Kazakhstan itself is the ninth biggest country in the world with 2.7 million square kilometers. So in fact, you can fit 11 UKs in Kazakhstan, but compared to UK, we only have 19,760,656 people living in Kazakhstan in comparison to 67,961,439 living in the UK. And it is Astana, the capital city, is the second coldest capital in the world. And even right now, currently, it's still snowing. And this week, on average, it's negative 30 degrees.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, so let's just move on quickly to some environmental challenges that we have in Kazakhstan. So some challenges that we face is particularly recycling in Kazakhstan. As I'm from the UK, and as Haileybury UK just explained, they do have recycling systems globally, I'm sure, maybe in Germany or other places like that. In Kazakhstan, we don't have the same system. We have a lot of step, as Akirki just mentioned. So we usually just dispose of waste in random areas of the steppe, and it is not a great system at all. Even in the city, so this is obviously not in the city, but in the city, we don't have systems similarly either. We just have two different colored bins, you could say, but nobody really distinguishes the difference, and there isn't a system put in place. I think it's more of like, for show, you could say. There isn't really any sort of system that's been developed, and it's a very new thing, like the brought up of sustainability. So I was just going to talk quickly about the EPI rates across like globally and comparing to other places too. This is the 2022 global EPI rates, and in the UK, Germany, Australia, and Iceland, the rates are pretty high. Iceland is, I think, or maybe South Korea is the top in terms of environmental performance. And in Kazakhstan, we're at the very bottom of this index. We're at 3.8%, whereas other places like Germany are at 50%. And obviously, this is something that is very difficult to manage as a school. If we are trying to implement this into our curricula, it's been very difficult because as a country itself, they're not really familiar with sustainability, not really that involved with recycling or anything like that. So it does become very difficult for us as a school. However, again, Kazakhstan, in compared to the UK, is 3 times cheaper in terms of like gasoline. And that is basically just because we have really low tax rates, and we also produce oil in Kazakhstan. But that does lead to very polluted cities, and Almaty is in the top 25 of the most polluted cities, unfortunately, and that is just something that it's not a great thing that we can deal with. But as a school, again, we're trying to foster this community a little bit better.
Now talking a little bit about the SDG goals in Kazakhstan. So the Sustainable Development Goals are a set of 17 global goals established by the United Nations in 2015 as a part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Kazakhstan, like many other countries, has committed to working towards these Sustainable Development Goals established by the United Nations. These goals provide a framework for addressing global challenges such as poverty, inequality, climate change, and environmental degradation. So the UN system in Kazakhstan aims to join the ranks of the 30 most developed countries of the world by achieving the OECD standards. And this can help our country achieve its aspirations articulated in Strategy 2050 goals and the subsequent reform agenda. So the analysis of model curricula content for school subjects indicates that most subjects contain a limited number of topics or learning objectives directly related to the SDG goals. And the percentage of direct ESD integration in curricula varies from 3% to 16% across subjects, highlighting the need for intentional efforts to incorporate sustainability principles across all areas of education. And here are some ways that Kazakhstan aims to integrate ESD, educational sustainable development, into Kazakhstan's educational system. So it is stated that sustainable development components will be introduced into school educational programs, and long-term action plan in the field of environmental education to facilitate the transition of Republic Kazakhstan to sustainable development. Transition from traditional curricula to preparing students for the future through the actualization of the value aspect of the content of education, the focus of curricula on preparing students for the future, and orientation of personnel training issues, including pedagogical, to the trends of advanced developments of the sector. And here are 7 factors affecting the advancement of education sustainable developments in Kazakhstan. So the first one is the curriculum adjustments, emphasis on skill developments, quality education for all, increasing education funding, building partnership and stakeholder engagement, interministerial coordination, and monitoring and evaluation mechanism.
Okay, so that was just a little bit about like the Sustainable Development Goals in Kazakhstan. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about how we deal with that in Haileybury Astana. So how do we integrate that into our school curriculum? In kindergarten, we have like recycling materials that they use in their maker spaces. So that basically means that when they are learning or when they're like developing their fundamental skills, they use recyclable material like old toys maybe, or plastic bottles, just to like try and use that in their like everyday lessons. In junior school, that's actually when they start learning the basics or learning about the Sustainable Development Goals. And there are a few posters around the school with it and like some information and facts. And they mostly learn about this in their science classes. And in senior school, it is a part of our syllabuses. We do IGCSE, and in biology and in physics, we have to learn about how we can foster sustainability in our daily lives. And just trying to talk about a little bit about how we can engage students outside of classes. We host eco-assemblies quite often. The most recent one, I think we were talking about water usage and how we develop that. And we also host a eco-school CCA. So we do have an eco club, and we like to teach some of the junior school how to like implement that into their lives. And we also talk about like the eco boxes that we use. So what we did actually in one CCA is that we painted some boxes and we put the logo on it. And we made over 100 of them in eco club and eco school, and we put them around each individual classes from junior school to senior school, and outside the administrator's office and things like that. And we just use that to recycle paper, and we also have like recycling bins around school. However, I just want to make it a point that this is a very recent thing that we have developed. It hasn't really been in our curricula for for a very long time, and it is something that we're definitely trying to work on more. It's not as prominent in classes as we'd like it to be. However, that is something as an eco club, just like the logo you can see at the top, that's our logo. Just as the eco school, we are trying to work on that.
Now to talk a little bit about how we try to foster environmental responsibility. So we have hosted numerous eco events. The first one is the litter picking day, which usually happens twice a year, usually when it gets kind of warmer outside. So litter picking day is an event that helps our school join together to cultivate a stronger sense of responsibility and community involvement in environmental concerns. The purpose of the event is to clean and improve the park area near our school, as well as to educate our community about environmental culture and a sense of responsibility for the environment. Not only is it a great chance to teach children how to take care of nature, but also to have fun and enjoy the fresh air, as parents, students, teachers, anybody could participate. Second is the Eco Fair, which we hosted recently. We have multiple stations. The first one is the recycling station where families can bring used batteries, plastic bottles, general plastic, medicine packagings, and etc. And they can recycle them. And the second station is the toy and clothing exchange station, where instead of throwing out the old clothing or toys, they can exchange it to something they'll actually use. And we worked together with a CLA consulting group, and they talked about green lifestyle to parents, and they introduced the topic of waste to children. And the last station we had is the recycling station. We taught children and parents how to recycle paper. What we did is we blended up the paper, and then we kind of tried to filter it out, and we tried it, and then we gave it to the children. Our school actually works with a company which recycles all the paper, but it is a great way for our eco school club to also be kind of involved in recycling paper as well. The next one is the annual tree planting. We have it every year. It's mainly aimed towards children. We want to teach them about the importance of taking care of our nature, the plants, trees, and the importance of tree planting. And lastly, the sustainability exhibitions. So they are hosted usually yearly, and it is basically a perspective of every class on how they portray sustainability. So for example, the art class, they painted these, you can see kind of cartoon characters out of old cartoon boxes, which we later used in the drama play that happened later on. And then we also hosted a fast fashion show. Um, Upcycling fast fashion is essential for sustainability as it reduces waste by repurposing garments and promotes creative expression and supports ethical fashion practices. By giving existing clothing items new life, upcycling minimizes the environmental impact of the fashion industry and raises awareness about sustainable consumption habits. We also had a 1 hour long performance for the music department, where for mainly for the parents to teach them about how to sustain. And yeah, lastly, we want to talk a little bit about Kazakhstan's goals. As I've said before, its main goal is to be a part of the 30 most developed countries in the world. We can do so by improving the economic diversification and sustainable growth. And we want to focus on poverty reduction and social inclusion, education and human capital development, environmental sustainability, gender equality and women's empowerment, peace, justice, and strong institutions. And our school's kind of motto is we're committed to creating a sustainable future for our community and the planet. Our goal is to actively engage students, staff, parents, and the wider community in a collective effort to promote environmental awareness and sustainable practices.
Thank you very much for listening to our presentation.